Ton of research on this topic of what is the Divine Feminine University. So I can't wait to share more about this topic. It's a passion that hits really close to home because a big part of my early childhood was all about preparing to go to university, and education was such an important thing. I came from a family where everybody had a master's degree, and education was the important way to get your golden ticket to freedom, success, wealth, learning awesome things. I'm so grateful for my education, and I feel like the world needs a new way of bringing education out to the world in a more divine feminine aligned space. So let's dive into this divine feminine rise. This is all about the divine feminine is rising, and we're honing in really on education because education is so incredibly important. We'll talk about so many juicy things today, including the death of the mystery schools, the burning of all of the records of the ancient mystery schools, the ancient mystery teachings, the divine feminine universities or temple priestess trainings. It's all kind of lumped into one. And what you can do if you feel called as a priestess, as a woman who is all about spirit, as a woman who, let me pop in my headset because I live out here in the rice fields in Bali, and they're doing the harvesting today. So why are you here? What is your divine feminine rising path? I have a ton of videos on the divine feminine awakening journey, and I think we can all agree that humanity is of awakened souls are rising. Social media, maybe like spreading more information, the internet informational era is here. And also, there's a definite wave of light consciousness. We're waking up together. Why the divine feminine? Well, let's go in. And why the educational system? So the divine feminine rise requires us to build out the new educational systems. We cannot have an ascension on a root chakra that's grounded in the old school. We can honor and not throw the baby out with the bathwater. In fact, a lot of the things that I learned in university I still use today. How to research, how to do interviews, I was an anthropology major. I studied sexuality studies at Duke University. There was a lot of amazing research I got to conduct, and I interviewed dozens of women all over the university about self-esteem, body image, sexuality. That was my specialty for my final paper. So, and so many different courses I took around women's studies helped me to do the work I'm doing today. So I'm very, very grateful. And boy, oh boy, I think we can all agree that it's time to create new educational systems that work for us to actually survive in the world, make money, be fruitful, and be in alignment with what our soul purpose is. Because I think the old school, it asks a 14-year-old, what do you want to major in? What's your future? And you kind of get locked into a box, or maybe it happens when you're a freshman in college. You have to figure out what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And most of us are pretty lost souls at that point. Or if we're found souls, we are confused about, if we're awakening, we're confused about what our path is meant to be. So we need new educational systems that honor the feminine, and we need to honor also the ancient feminine wisdom that was lost. And I'm going to talk about the devastating loss of the ancient feminine mystery school teachings that happened over 2,000 years ago. So we need to also honor the difference in the female body and also males who are more feminine. We need to honor female memories, the ancient wisdom, the moods. Our moods are maybe more emotional. Our minds are a little bit different than the masculine, than men. And our menstrual flows, if we're menstruating, or even when we're going through the change, going through menopause. Our female bodies have 5 times as many hormones, and we are designed to birth in a different way that men are designed to conceive. So we have a very different physical structure. So why are we all assuming that we should fit into a standard model that was built historically by men over these last 2,000 years? So education is an important piece. It's so important, not just for women, but for the world, eradicating poverty. Women's education has been proved to break the cycle of poverty around the world. There's a correlation with wealth and education. It not only improves their lives, but also then benefits their families, communities, and entire nations by increasing productivity, reducing infant mortality rates, and promoting gender equality. And it's also the same thing that when people are more educated in one country, I'm from the United States, there's a huge gap in education and also a huge gap in wealth. But what about the new feminine education systems? We've been locked in this old traditional or even patriarchal outdated model for the past, maybe ever since the Library of Alexandria in Egypt's fall, which was 48, I think, BC. So around 2,000 years ago. So I'd like to introduce you to the new concept of the Divine Feminine University. It's something that is not a standard thing, and people will be like, well, where is there an accredited Divine Feminine University? It's not. It's been something that's been persecuted, destroyed, lost, and it's rising as the Divine Feminine rises. And it's our mission to promote social, emotional, and intellectual growth among its students and graduates if you are part of this movement of the Divine Feminine and the Divine Feminine universities that are going to be built globally, and Divine Feminine Mystery School temples and hospitals and hermetical schools and all kinds of things that we want to create through our feminine wisdom, intuition. Okay, I'm Dr. Amanda Noel. I'm the founder of Aphrodite University, the premier university and mystery school. I graduated from a mystery school in around 2010, and I received my PhD in transpersonal counseling with an MA in metaphysics. And before that, I went to a very mainstream university, a top 10, actually at the time, I guess it was top 5, very competitive, very academic university, and it was way too narrow for me. It was a great start, but I didn't like how analytical, how left brain, how everything had to be proven, and we weren't allowed to use this other intuitive feminine skill set that I didn't know I had at the time until I walked into the doors of a mystery school, and they gave me a reading, and they read so much about me, and they were like, you have past lives as an Egyptian priestess, and you have skills as a mystic, you have skills as they called it a psychic. I don't really resonate with that word so much, but you're intuitive. And so I was like, that's interesting. And it was such a tumultuous time in my life. I was between countries, between jobs, between an ex-boyfriend and finding my new path. And so I said, you know what, I'm just going to take this meditation class and see. And I learned to meditate. I learned to heal myself through my chakras. And then I started doing readings. I signed up for the year-long clairvoyant mystery school training program. And I started giving readings because that's how they trained us. They threw us into the water, and it was amazing. I was like, oh, I'm home. Why didn't they have us do this at university? Why didn't they have us use our chakras and our auric field and our third eye, our telepathic channels, all these gifts inside of me that I was like, oh, it was so fascinating. It was really fun, and it was exciting, and there's this whole other world. And it was also really scary, and like, is this real? Am I nuts? Is this, what are people going to think of me? And that's one of the things about the Divine Feminine Universities is as we integrate spirit, it's not quantifiable, and we can't fit it into the old box of the old systems and the old way of thinking. So we have to accept it with non-judgment and explore. But where are the Divine Feminine Universities first? So they were all over the world during Atlantean times, and the world went through I don't know if it was an adolescence or maybe also a menopause. Something in the world was changing. There were a lot of cataclysms, and it was happening over a long period of time. But basically, over time, a lot of the ancient books, texts, were packed into Egypt in the Library of Alexandria. And imagine this magical gold sparkling library with every book and all these teachers and classes, and really it was also a university where one could go to study for free. I don't know what was happening there. We can channel and we can think of, scratch our heads to try and remember our past lives there. But we know that there was something there, and it was definitely a center of wisdom, knowledge, housing countless precious manuscripts and books from all over the world. And it was lost, it was burnt down during Caesar's rule in 48 BC. So it's been over 2,000 years, and it was a great loss to humanity as it contained valuable knowledge of mysticism, the healing arts, divine feminine healing arts, mathematics, hidden histories, astronomy, astrology, alternative medicine, all of these different things. And poof, all of a sudden, conveniently, all of this ancient wisdom was lost. Now, what I believe and what a lot of scholars believe, that it was an attempt to erase all knowledge of the past, to just blot out, give us amnesia, including the divine feminine ancient mysteries and secrets that were contained within it. And it remains a dark chapter in human history, and we still have not reclaimed it completely. And this is a reminder of the cost of ignorance and intolerance, because we did go through the dark ages after that. And we've been stuck in maybe some money slavery. So it was estimated to have contained hundreds of thousands of manuscripts, scrolls, and books, and it's considered to be one of the greatest losses of human civilization. The cause is still debated, but it is generally believed that it was destroyed in multiple stages, both by these natural disasters, which was this from some kind of power above that was trying to control humanity, maybe a part of ourselves that didn't want to ascend, that wasn't fully ready, or that was attacking a part of ourselves, maybe our future selves, or kind of lower fallen angel aspect of the God self. We don't really know what was happening, but there were a lot of natural disasters, and the fall of Atlantis had happened. And after Atlantis fell, that's why Egypt became a refugee ground. The survivors came, new systems were set up, and that's where a lot of the ancient texts were salvaged until this next destruction, the burning of the library. The ancient city of Alexandria was hit by this earthquake to 365 AD, which then smashed a significant portion of the collection of the library. So that was a symbol, an iconic symbol of the death of the divine feminine universities, because that's where the records were known to be kept. They were probably all over the place, and when I look in meditation and when I really feel into it, it feels to me like there were ancient mystery schools that were orally practiced, that were passed on through texts and scrolls and all kinds of different things that we really don't know about. But when I have had certain past life memories, things don't look as primitive as we would think, and things were pretty advanced. And what it feels like to me, and you can look at this for yourself as a mystic, is that we took a quantum leap backwards when this persecution was happening. And some believe that there were wars happening, that there was a Muslim influence wanting to hold back this feminine balanced energy, or even maybe a powerful feminine energy that was coming through the mystery schools and the libraries. There's kind of this left and right brain, male, female, masculine, feminine war that goes on within the divine human, the brain, and we can have that expressed through wars going through countries, or through religions, or through maybe science versus spirit. And it's all an internal game, as above, so below, as within, so without. So it's a part of ourselves as we're even looking at this. Let's see. Yes, so between this event and the Islamic conquest, the earthquake that happened in 365 AD. So after that, up till the Islamic conquest of Egypt in the 7th century, the library continued to suffer from a steady decline in collection and funding. So they kind of slowly deflated. Many scholars feel that the final destruction of the library occurred during the Muslim conquest, which resulted in the burning of the library and the loss of literary treasures forever. And I support and love all people and all religious groups. I personally live in a Muslim country here in Indonesia, and I have amazing Muslim friends. My daughter plays with amazing, cute little kids of various religions, and I think it's important to be inclusive and have conversations. So I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, I'm just sharing my research. And I feel that there was a big feminine matriarchal wave of consciousness that was once here, and some part of the cosmos or ourselves or some ruler, some masculine energy came in and said, nah, that's not going to happen. Christ and Magdalene cannot be together. We have to edit her out. We have to attack. We have to persecute, and we have to twist things around and rewrite the books. And so I believe we're missing a lot of information that is being reclaimed. The book of Mary that talks about Jesus and Mary Magdalene being married, and how he kissed her on the mouth, and how let's see, that wasn't how they were married, but he did kiss her on the mouth, and was chosen as the favorite disciple, and that the others were jealous, especially Peter. And then later we find the text that was prophesied in the Da Vinci Code of all books, that a Harvard scholar would be able to find a little piece of information that says that Mary Magdalene was the wife of Jesus, and that did happen by a Harvard professor, a woman, in the last about 10 years or so ago, in a Coptic scroll, a piece of papyrus, that suddenly our mind becomes more open, and we start to discover these missing pieces. So the Divine Feminine Mystery Schools, universities are a missing piece, that if we don't restore them, we are not going to be able to heal our past. We need to rise these spaces, first online probably, because it's much cheaper, and then in person, where women especially, but women and men can come to nourish the feminine aspects through education. So what are these aspects? Educational institutes that have their core values based on empathy, nurturing empathy. That's a divine feminine aspect. We don't have that in our competitive universities much of the time. Compassion and intuition. We're actually told to squash down our intuition and sometimes be cold to, or we don't have time, things are so stressful, to like have compassion for other classmates and to support our missions. We're just trying to get into medical school, we're trying to get that job, and sometimes it serves us to be competitive and not help out intuition. Obviously, in order to succeed in life, we have to go with our gut instincts, but modern universities have stopped talking about intuition. They make it seem like some kind of unicorn thing, and that it's impossible to open your third eye or to sharpen your intuition. And it's even like woo-woo and weird to be spiritual. Now, it is a little bit feminine. It is, like I said, it can be a bit, I don't want to say messy, but I said we can't quantify the feminine healing arts. It's like, sometimes I'll do healings for my students and clients, and maybe one person is struggling with insomnia, and I'll just channel, like, I'm seeing this remedy for you. You might want to try it. Does it resonate with you? I'll read their energy. And the same problem could be going on in another student, and the answer is totally different because it's channeled, it's intuitive wisdom, and I can get a download on like where it's coming from. And I guess what I have to say is it's been really frustrating to try to prove the mystery school, or how do we say my metaphysical skills, intuitive teaching. It's a waste of time, and if you have to footnote everything and research it and prove it, it's too slow. We don't have time. I mean, we can use science and masculine tools, but if we're not blending the divine feminine healing arts, it gets way too complicated. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you could do all this research and still not have a conclusion that's accurate, versus if you're just like tapped in, you know how to solve the planet's problem. You know where to go. So creativity is an aspect of the feminine. It's the sacral chakra, this creative center where we're all born from the womb. And we don't honor the womb. We don't talk about the womb. We are ashamed to even say, I'm on my period, my energy is low. I need to skip class because I have a migraine. And we're like all ashamed about being in a female body. It's like dirty or bad or wrong because we bleed and we create life. Our creative energy needs to be nourished. We often think of, I remember I was told, oh, you can't go to art school, you can't become a designer if you want to make money. And it's absolutely not true. I know so many designers that make 6 or 7 figures. And I know a lot of people who are very successful and bright and make money are very creative, and they have creative careers. So the divine feminine healing arts honors those things like sound healing, music, art, expression, and you can make a lot of money off of your creative products and services. Spirituality, that's a piece where we've sort of separated church and state, and I think that's good, and I'm glad that I didn't grow up in like a super dogmatic religious school that obviously like I wouldn't have resonated with. But it sucks that we don't even have the freedom to talk to our kids about our spiritual bodies, that we just have a physical body, and we don't actually teach our kids how to own and ground their auras and to attune their chakras and to use healing energy with their hands and to use their third eyes. And instead, we're doing all these things that shut down our children's third eyes. And we act like they're crazy if they have intuition or they talk to imaginary friends who are maybe spirits without bodies. It's like actually really happening. Emotional intelligence in students. So we often value academic intelligence and not emotional intelligence, unless maybe you're going to psychotherapy school. But I feel like emotional intelligence is a really important aspect that we need to start honoring, because I went to a university where like most of my friends were on medications for their emotional imbalances. They were on antidepressants, anti-anxiety, because the school is so hard to get into, is so hard to graduate from, and it was highly competitive, not just academically. Duke was also very competitive with the sorority and fraternity system and socially. And so people are always trying to climb the ladder and fit in and have the perfect body and the perfect conversational skills. And we were not actually tapping into like, how do I feel? Instead it was, let's medicate it, let's blot it out. And this is not how we want the future of American leadership to be, or whatever country you're in, or global leadership. We want our leaders to take leadership from healthy, balanced, emotional intelligence too. And that's a real big problem that the university system just has been cutting off of our emotions and our spirit and our ability to nourish and have compassion and intuition. Divine Feminine Universities, we strive to create a compassionate and harmonious universe that nurtures the spiritual and emotional growth of our students. So why do we need Divine Feminine Universities? This is part of the Divine Feminine Rising. So Divine Feminine Universities, what do they teach? The healing arts refer to a range of practices and teachings that focus on connecting with and harnessing the power of the Divine Feminine. A space that you can go to that honors the power of the Divine Feminine, that's considered a serious educational system. How good does that feel in your body to know that you could graduate with a degree that is respected and revered, and it's also honoring the power of the Divine Feminine? These practices may include meditation, yoga, energy healing, dance, movement therapy, herbal remedies, other forms of holistic healing, metaphysics, etc. These practices for women and men can help us to cultivate a deeper understanding of our own inner wisdom and intuition, and connect with the powerful feminine energies of love, compassion, and creativity. The Divine Feminine healing arts also emphasize the importance of honoring and respecting the natural cycles and rhythms of our bodies, of the earth and the universe, including astrology. I love how astrology has made my life so much easier. By incorporating these practices into their lives, individuals can experience profound healing and transformation both on personal and collective levels. So Divine Feminine Universities teach us to become the agents of change, where we channel from our higher spirits, not copying and regurgitating information, but really coming from that inner creator, bringing balance and healing and spirituality to the world. They emphasize the need for interconnectedness, for empathy, and holistic approach to living. I don't think it would be appropriate for Divine Feminine University to not teach students how to eat healthfully. There's so many different diets, but we can all agree that eating pesticides, chemicals, antibiotics, hormones, fast foods, low quality oils, things that are proven to really be toxic on the body, that like we need to start talking about this. Binge drinking was rampant in my college, and staying up late at night, 3 in the morning, eating pizza. It's no wonder that people were depressed. What if we had a holistic approach and the cafeteria was serving healthy food instead of toxic food? Costs a little bit more money, takes a little bit more of a permaculture farm, but there are actually creative ways to do it on a budget too. Mystical Feminine Universities teach courses that are to be related to the nature of reality, of consciousness, spirituality, personal development. These topics might commonly include metaphysics, meditation, psychic development, energy healing, holistic health, esoteric philosophy, maybe the yoga, embodiment, healing arts as well. It could be nutrition, holistic, acupuncture. All of these things could be blended in. The sky really is the limit. It's really what are the needs of the modern woman, or the modern conscious couple, or the modern man, if you want a Divine Feminine University for men at some point, or a feminine balanced space for men to participate. Students in these programs are going to learn about different spiritual traditions, not just one, ancient wisdom teachings and alternative healing modalities, and maybe some galactic future modalities as well. They'll integrate science. They might integrate medical med beds, or I'm using the EE systems scalar technology for protection against EMFs and radiation and negative energies. So I believe that it's not just about being primitive and intuitive, which is great. Like, I love the indigenous medicines, plant medicines, crystals, but we also want to utilize what the mainstream universities have to offer if there's something on that platter. Many metaphysical universities also emphasize the practical application of metaphysical concepts in everyday life and aim to empower students to live more fulfilling and purposeful lives. So here are some examples of courses that might be taught at a Divine Feminine University or Mystery School. The sky is the limit. This is just a little sample. One would be like Women's Wisdom, an exploration of feminine archetypes and sacred myths. We work with the archetypes of Aphrodite at Aphrodite University, and there's something so deep and healing that connects us into the subconscious mind and the collective conscious, as Jung said, with archetypes. Archetypes anchor us into that divine mind and allow for a deeper level of healing. 2, the art of rites and rituals, creating meaningful ceremonies and celebrations. The Divine Feminine does utilize ceremonies. It is powerful. We're not just pushing forward with material gain, hustle, hustle, go, go, go. We're also sitting and manifesting, and creating rituals is a sacred way to do this. And I found it to be one of the most powerful things. I was stuck in my job, a job that I was really ready to leave, and it was bringing in a generous income. It was kind of the steady 6-figure career, and I wanted to leave so badly so I could pursue my passions. It wasn't until I injured my neck and I couldn't walk, and I was doing something that required me to be sitting up and helping people. So I did a ritual, a money magic ritual. And within 2 weeks, I had the start of a thriving business that has morphed into what I do today. And it has been a steady flow of income. And I'm sure that if I had not done that ritual, it wouldn't have landed. So that's why I would love to invite you to the upcoming Money Magic Ritual. It's happening on the new moon live this month and every month at Aphrodite University. And it's something that we've been doing for the last decade, pretty much since I did my Money Magic Ritual at the beginning of my own entrepreneurial career. 4, tantric practices for deepening intimacy and spiritual connection. The reason I put this one on here is because sacred sexuality is something that is so important. It's important for manifestation, for relationships, for health, for joy, for healing all of the blocks of sexual shame, and for getting out of our heads. So the universities in the Divine Feminine are about incorporating everything, including the body, including our baby maker, Shaco baby maker. And the tantric energy practices are part of our magic and our healing. So we don't exclude those. 5, womb healing and empowerment, reclaiming the power of the sacred feminine. 6, moon magic and lunar cycles, harnessing the power of the lunar path. So we're talking about, let's have courses about learning about our menstrual cycles, learning about the moon cycles, connecting to nature in her feminine energy. The masculine universities are based on the semester, the seed. Sem means seed, so we need to have our ovester, and I got that from, what is it? The one with, anyways, if Legally Blonde. If you know that movie, you'll remember that scene where the feminist is talking about we shouldn't have semesters, we should have ovesters. So Divine Feminine Universities, we might have that, or moon cycles or something different. So 7, psychic development and intuitive training, awakening the inner mystic. 8, divination and tarot. Who here doesn't use tarot cards these days? Who just like loves their oracle cards or divination of some sort, using tea readings? I've had such great readings with myself, doing them for myself or for others, getting them from other tarot card and oracle card readers. They're just so helpful. Using symbolic language to access higher wisdom is a very important aspect of the Divine Feminine, and that's why kings and queens would have their priestess to go to and consult for what should we do? Should we go to war with this country? Should we make a deal with this country? 9, healing arts of the divine feminine, energy work, herbalism, and intuitive healing. 10, sacred sexuality. I had my degree from Duke University in sexuality, and it was awesome, but it was very basic. It was like sexuality, it was kind of more heady and research-based, and there wasn't any sacredness to it. When I learned about sacred sexuality, the word resonated with me, and I ended up going to a couple's tantra workshop, and it was just like such an incredible experience, and bringing in roses and doing ritual and learning about kundalini and exploring pleasure and consent and connection in a safe and supportive environment, like, was such a game changer for me, and it allowed me to heal and meet my twin flame and be a more embodied and empowered woman. So what is it like learning in a Divine Feminine University? So we're kind of making it up here, we're winging it, because the Divine Feminine Universities really haven't been built yet. We are just scratching the surface, just breaking ground. There aren't any accredited Divine Feminine Universities from what I know. In fact, people ask me all the time, is Aphrodite University accredited? And we're like, well, yes, by Aphrodite herself from the higher wisdom, but you can't prove that here on earth. The way Aphrodite University came to me, and we've been in doors open since 2012, right around the 2012 shift. So it's been right around a decade, and it hasn't been easy. People throw their money at mainstream universities all the time and believe in them, and oftentimes women will have a dream and say, I want to do this healing arts degree, and they'll get close to signing up, or they'll even start the program, and then they'll freak out and say, a mainstream university degree is better. I better go back and take this because I can't use this degree. It won't mean anything, because we live in a male-based world that's been built on the patriarchy. But I'm here to say that I've built a multiple six-figure business, and I built a six-figure business within the first 2.5 years. It was somewhere around 2.5 years. Doing what I love, being a channel, being a mystic, being a teacher, and I wasn't able to make that money when I was working in the mainstream world. I mean, I probably could have, but it just was so out of alignment for my soul. And so following the feminine path, which is flow, which is intuitive, which is following pleasure, following your higher self wisdom, that's what's brought me my success. And if it speaks to you to go this path and choose a Divine Feminine University instead of a mainstream university, then I feel it will work for you. It worked for me. I went to a mystery school, a metaphysical school, a transpersonal counseling school that was based on spirituality and mysticism and metaphysics. So it wasn't by any means a mainstream university. I did that before, and I'm grateful for that, but my soul would not be complete if I hadn't taken the coursework to teach me the things that I know now. And you can definitely learn it online. You can Google and you can study yourself, and maybe some people's style is to maybe shadow a shaman, you know, or volunteer at a ayahuasca center, and that's beautiful too. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think some people are just meant to do the university path. There's something that calls us in our soul that says, I'm an academic. I like to research. I like to work hard. I like to be in a school. I like to go through systems. I like structures to support me, and I love to learn. But I want to learn what I want to learn. I want to learn in the way that I want to learn. And so we need to create these spaces, especially for, I would say, for young women. You know, women around the world, whether it's in Italy or US or Indonesia, like, women are taking over the world. We're more successful. We graduate more from universities. We get better marks. We do better, like, overall in a lot of high level positions. We're more ethical, and we get paid less, and it's pretty messed up. And I feel like that needs to change because one, we deserve it. And one of the reasons it will change, I feel, is when women start believing in the feminine path. And therefore their daughters will go, wow, you know, like my daughter, I hope she says, wow, mommy chose to follow her own path. She let go of the path that her family members were on to pursue a Divine Feminine University. I hope my daughter, she's only 3 now, we'll see. Maybe she'll go to like a mainstream university and be like, oh, I hate the Divine Feminine Healing Arts. And that would be fine too. Or, you know, whatever she resonates with. But for me, I was pissed that when I went to college, it felt like a man's world. It was a man's world. They had frats on the campus. They didn't have sororities on the campus. They had rape everywhere. It was the number one school for sexual assault. And it's because the balance was not balanced. It had been a men's university until I think the mid 60s or 70s. And then they added women in, but the women had this inferior campus. And so the women's campus was separate. And then when I was there, it got integrated, but you could still feel the energy of women were still second-class citizens, or in order to be the upper management positions and balance with the men, we had to like be better than the men and keep up with them and channel masculine energy. And I remember one of the most like beautiful women. She was like the popular it girl. She was on the lacrosse team. All the guys liked her. All the girls liked her too. And she would talk with a super deep voice. She looked like a flower, but she stung like a bee. You know what I mean? And she ended up getting some corporate job, and she was like the icon for the woman you wanted to be. But she had this deep like, hey bro, you know, hey, how are you doing? And I could tell that wasn't necessarily, from my experience anyways, it felt like she was putting on that, like she felt the pressure to fit into that. I know I did, and I would do some of that too. I remember on our volleyball team in high school, we would cheer instead of go Berkeley, we'd be like, or go Jackets, we'd be like, go Jackets, because there was this energy of like, you have to be a boy, you have to be a man in order to be an athlete, you have to be a man in order to be the top. So what does the Divine Feminine University look like? What does it look like? Well, we haven't built these buildings yet. Maybe we create old schools. Maybe there are some schools that are no longer running because people don't want to go there anymore. I know they're like old boarding schools. I was looking at like a French real estate company, and they had like an old, beautiful, I don't know if it was a boarding school or something that looked like a cute old French, I don't know, it kind of looked between a hotel and a school. It had like a swimming pool and library, and I was like, oh my gosh, this looks so fun. I want to buy it and renovate it and have Aphrodite University there. But there's so many options. What would it look like for you if you were to attend or build or be a part of a Divine Feminine University? I think it could be very a great time to dream and vision for this generation and the next generations to come. A lot of us are starting with very simple building materials. This looks like maybe an eco village in Costa Rica or Bali or something like that, where people are just making stuff out of bamboo and teaching what they know together and sharing wisdom in a very simple way. I know people that are at these places, not Divine Feminine Universities, but New Earth, you know, permaculture villages and things like that. We're going to be checking out a permaculture / eco-intentional community here in Bali that is based on crypto, and we're really excited about that. But let yourself dream. Where would you like to go to university? What do you want it to look like? So fun to just dream and think about what maybe your child could be doing in the next generation. What I do have to say is I would love to integrate the Divine Feminine Mystery School temples. I call it the Temple of the Sacred Chalice. And before I die, I will be building the Temple of the Sacred Chalice, which honors the womb, which honors the feminine, which honors the Divine Mother, which honors the Divine Daughter, the Trinity, the Daughter, the Mother, and the Crone. We have so few sacred spaces where women can go and cry, can celebrate, can bleed, can marry themselves. I've gone to spas that are really beautiful and had really wonderful opening experiences, but it would be so nice if they were intentionally blessed as a space for women to go. If you know of any of these places, write in the comments. I would love to hear, are there any female healing temples that you know about? I've experienced them in the desert at Burning Man, and they were really, really powerful. Dome-shaped tents that were there for a week, where we embedded so much magic and crystalline energy in the altar and everything, or different women's retreats. But by the end of the weekend or the week, it's done. You know, you have to pack it up and take it home. So if you could create your Divine Feminine Mystery School, what would you infuse into it? Would it be crystalline temple? Would there be dance, ecstatic dance in the morning? Would there be green juices in the cafeteria? Would you have visiting entrepreneurs, high-level people traveling in to donate their time and services and educate us about how to grow your business in the most feminine aligned yet powerful way, sharing tools and resources from the from the masculine universities as well, mixing it together and masterminding on how to create the feminine way, the new feminine way. I put together some of these images because I love imagery and I love dreaming. I have a Venusian origin, and I started having all these dreams about Venus and Venezia, also Venice, and in my late 20s, and remembering my future lives on the planet Venus, if you can believe it or not, as well as my past lives in the mystery schools in Egypt, and remembering the divine feminine healing arts. And sometimes having shamanic art can invoke something. So as you look at the screen, maybe feel into what would you be wearing at the Divine Feminine University? How would it feel to come together as sisters? How would it feel to honor and support each other with compassion, care, nurturing, sacred sisterhood, and bringing in the divine masculine, inviting men into the space at certain times of maybe of the day or the week, of the moon, having men collaborate with us, having maybe Divine Feminine Universities are open to men and women, maybe some are just for women or those who identify as women. We get to choose, we get to create, but if we don't start thinking about it, thoughts create things, right? If we don't start thinking about it, we won't create it. So it's time to temple brainstorm, to get together on the dance floor and dance together. And so maybe next time you go to your ecstatic dance or your yoga class, start envisioning what you want to create as the divine feminine rises. Is it a university? Is it a temple? Is it your yoga school? Is it some kind of thing that hasn't even been invented yet? When I visualize things, they come. I remember back when I used to eat sugar like 25 years ago, I was like, gosh, I really wish there was a organic ice cream store on the street. It would be so great. And now it has a line like that goes all the way down the block, EC in Berkeley on College Avenue. And I'm like, that was exactly what I envisioned. So that happens all the time to me. I'm sure it does with you too. Synchronicity aligns with our mind. So what do you want the golden temples to feel like? Very lavish, abundant, not just jankety. I love that word, janky. It's a Bay Area, California word. Maybe that means, you know, you don't want just a piece of cheapo. We want a high quality, high caliber. We want lots of money coming in from top entrepreneurs. We want the multimillionaires out there to be like, goddesses, I serve you. Here is the gold. You Gaias have been holding the brunt of the trauma for Gaia. And in order for me to ascend, now that I'm awake, I am here to tithe. I'm here to support the divine feminine. You don't have to work so hard. Maybe the new feminine mystery schools will be on scholarship. Maybe we won't have to pay a dime. I've been trying to find the solutions myself at Aphrodite University. Currently, we are charging tuition just so we're still based on the dollar system. Sometimes we've offered discounts and scholarships, but for the most part, our students, they invest in themselves and they get a lot back from that. But how cool would it be to have an investor who sponsored a goddess, a priestess, that they check in, you know, every 6 months, or they get updates online of how she's doing, and they see her excelling in her career as a healer, a teacher, a temple priestess, a dancer, whatever it is that she's doing. Like, wow, I can't wait for our masculine to support this vision, and also for sisters to see each other in the eye of oneness and to forgive each other for any competition, instead of looking at each other and going, God, I wish my cellulite wasn't showing, or look how her boobs are not as good as mine, or whatever it is, where we're like, divine sister, I love you, you are me, I want you to win too, let's win together. I find you so beautiful, and I want to honor you and put a flower in your hair and anoint you with this essential oil. So sisters, it's time to rise together. It takes bravery. I don't know the right actions, but follow the intuitive heart. Take action. For me, it was making this video today, even though it felt edgy, it felt like, why am I sharing something? The more I keep following my passions in this last 30-day video challenge, the more people have unsubscribed from my channel. The channel just dropped like almost 75 people in the last month or so. And it's like, you know what? That's not what it's about. It's not about numbers. It's about me being of service and doing what I can and listening to my heart. And sometimes there's that awkward lag time where things get worse before they get better, as my old volleyball coach used to say. So it doesn't matter if things are unclear right now, if we don't have these perfect mystery schools. Start taking small actions. Gather your sisters together, or come join us during the new moon. which we have coming up this month. So go to aphroditeuniversity.org/new moon to check it out. And you can insert the coupon code 777 portal, and it's portal like a door opening, but it's all lowercase, portal, Portal. So 777 portal, and I'll put it in the description box below. Your contribution means so much that you could spend your time and energy with us. And what you get at the new moon ritual is you'll get our money magic activation. You'll set your goals over the next of what you want to achieve over the next moon cycle. You'll get super, super clear on what you want to achieve, and then you'll guide yourself with our meditation. You'll get soul guided action steps. Like, what are the exact steps that Spirit is guiding you to do that will make your dreams come true as quickly as possible? So when we put our divine minds together, they lock in and they amplify. Our prayers come together and weave a rope versus little strings individually that connect us to the heavens. We've been doing this new moon ritual for many, many years. Recently, we did decide to charge a very low tuition rate or fee for it. But don't think of it as a fee. Think of it as an investment in yourself, and also as an investment in the Divine Feminine Mystery Schools. The university's coming back. I know sometimes we think like everything should be free, spiritual things should be free, school should be free. And at some point I'd like everything to be free. But it's really not fair that we haven't paid our teachers, and then we've been paying our bankers and politicians, and we haven't been paying for spiritual healing things, but we pay insurance, massive amounts of money for, especially Americans pay a lot for health insurance. So let's put our money where our wombs are and invest in ourselves. It's a very awesome discount that I'll be giving you. It's 50% off. So it drops the price down. Let's see, the annual membership, if you want to get all 12, is a super deal rate where it becomes actually $22 a month, but then you actually take 2 months off. So it shaves off 2 months for free. So whatever that is, it's less than $20 a month. So come and join us. The scholarship for the 50% off discount goes till the 777 portal, which is coming up on July 7th, 2023, and we'll be having a special full moon activation for that as well. All right, so I've said so much. Thank you if you're listening. I am a talker. I put a lot out there. I would love to know what you think. Share in the comments, and I hope to see you on the new moon. It'd be great to meet you in person. Bye for now, beautiful one. Much love, and have yourself a gorgeous goddess day.